Well, if no one's gonna drink this, maybe I'll just... Ugh, that's terrible. That's...
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee with Brian, the show that lasts as long as our coffees, except I'm on a water diet because I get some problems, medical problems, which means I can't drink coffee for 2 weeks.
Ooh.
Or drink alcohol.
Oh, my
Oh, shit. So, yeah.
See, just
water
drink it.
only.
Take the consequences.
Yeah.
Drink it,
Indeed.
you know.
So, good morning to everybody out there on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and KGRA Digital Radio. Welcome to the show. I can see a lot of people in the chat on YouTube already. We have Dragon Ruse, Penny. We have Anima Confuser, our great friend, Slasher Fred, Hero Simple. Welcome to you all, and we'll be catching up with you all later. And also a shout out, of course, to our sponsors, Fuel Up. Information in the description of the show about how to access Fuel Up for Life and their wonderful hydration products. And we will be showing a little advert at the top of the hour, which will explain their products far better than ever I could, except I should mention that they are soy-free, and that's very important. We don't want any soy, do we, gentlemen?
Oh.
No soy. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the show for the first time ever on this show, the entire Rock and Roll Rowdies. Gentlemen, hello.
Hey,
good
hi,
morning,
Brian.
everybody.
Good morning, everybody. Morning.
How are you all doing?
Yeah, we good. We good. We enjoyed the football last night and a few libations afterwards.
I believe you were all in the pub, so...
Yeah, we're drinking, I think. Scottish mist.
But we've also been productive recording some sessions here.
Yeah.
Once we're all together, I mean, this is a rare occasion. Mal, this comes from Deal, the other side of the country. Granny's coming from LA to do some train spotting, and Wilco's here on duty.
I'm
He's on probation.
He's on probation.
I'm done with everybody.
So we're gathering, so we're really pleased to sort of all get together here in my house then, Devon.
As opposed to just seeing each other on screens.
Right.
Indeed. And I can tell there's a close bond between you all the way you've been before we came on the show, the way you've been hugging and rubbing each other and fondling.
Granny.
But I should especially welcome you, Mark, Mr. Mark Emery.
Thank you.
First time we've actually had the chance on screen to talk.
Yeah.
You're still working.
Can
you still be working? Yes.
And I've been working. So these guys have been carrying the torch and getting the Rock and Roll Rowdies name out there, and I've been on tour, mixing sound and traveling and
with Martin Turner from Wishbone Ash.
Yeah, with Martin Turner.
Where were you when we first met?
Yeah, that's we can go back to that. Yeah,
that's how we first met. I was working with Vinegar Joe. Mark was doing out front sound with Wishbone Ash.
The original Wishbone Ash back in the 70s, back in the day. So anyway, I started working with Martin about 6 years ago. After a garden party, we all got together, and he said, "Well, do you want to come back on the road?" So, it's been good. We've been to Japan last year. We've just done Europe.
Wow,
it's good, and
Is it playing all the old Wishbone Ash stuff?
It is, and they play it very accurately as well.
Nice.
That's well, as far as Martin Turner is concerned, he's the founding member of Wishbone, and he is Wishbone Ash. So instead of being Martin Turner ex Wishbone Ash, I think it should say Martin Turner is Wishbone Ash, because it's very authentic. So a lot of the fans are really appreciating that, and it's growing. It's actually getting some legs to it. It's good.
Nice. Yeah. So the shows were well received, and
we've just been through Germany and Holland. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it was like well-oiled machine from a tour management perspective.
Well, yeah, we had a few incidents, but they were my fault. I just had to resolve them.
You didn't leave your passport,
no,
did you?
No,
somebody else. If it went smoothly, it wouldn't be rock and roll.
Well, exactly, and we do like incidents.
We all out of jobs, much sooner.
Well, that's what we got to do. We got to undo what they do or don't do.
Incidents are good because they're great for broadcasting.
Yeah.
So, I would like to just briefly welcome my guests, panelists this morning. Pope Metallic is the first. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Glad to be here with all of these esteemed gentlemen and Brian. And great to see you all together. It's been really cool getting to know you guys over these last couple of weeks, and it's great to finally meet the whole gang, as it were.
Indeed. And also our great friend
Nice to meet
John
you too, mate.
Dasloven.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Actually, I got to dip out halfway through, sadly. So
lucky man.
That's right. We've got to stay through the whole thing. How can you get away?
Hey,
well,
more coffee.
I got to go to the NFL draft, so it's
All right.
a bit of a drive for me, and then I got to fight for parking and all that fun stuff.
So football, you mean?
Yes, American football.
Football, not football.
Yeah.
yeah. Not
See,
soccer. Not soccer.
Where are you in the States?
I'm in Missouri.
You're in Missouri.
Yeah.
That's where the draft is held.
Yeah, it's at Kansas. It's at Kansas City this year.
Is that like a draw where they pull balls out and match numbers?
No, what they do is a team gets a slot depending on where they ranked at the end of the season last year, and they get a pick from all the college players that entered the NFL draft pool. So there's a lot of hubbub about who's going to be on the team for next year and so on and so forth.
All right. Well, that'll be fun. So enjoy that, mate. And welcome to Dustin.
I've got a quick football story. I was on tour in
I
America.
want to ask you guys about that. But go ahead.
In Chicago, and Walter Payton. I'm sure you American football fans will remember Walter. He came and hung out with us for quite a while. Really nice guy. Really nice guy. Yeah.
Who were you touring with then?
I think it was Phil Collins, because I remember Walter saying to Phil, "Are you playing that Oh Lord tonight?" And Phil, we were all going, "What?" He said, "That song, Oh Lord, Oh Lord." And he went, "What?" He said, "Oh Lord, Oh Lord, it's your big hit." In the air tonight,
In the air tonight.
I can hear it coming in the air. Oh Lord.
Oh Lord. I can hear you coming in the air tonight. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Hey, well,
So that was Walter's interpretation on it.
It could have been called that. I mean, let's face it. It could have been.
Absolutely.
So soccer, football, as we would call it, football, but these guys call it soccer. You guys all support various teams. And last night, what was going on last night that you were watching?
Man City and Arsenal.
And that's like the title. It was the title decider. There's still 2-3 games to go.
Yeah.
But they're number 1 and number 2, and they were playing each other last night. So that was the title decider.
And Man City took it. Man
City trounced.
Man City won.
Jack Grealish got into 3 fights.
Yeah, that's the best he did.
I'm not even a Man City fan, but I thought it was a great game.
I'm a Liverpool supporter.
Yeah, me too.
The mighty Liverpool.
Yeah. So
I grew up on the Beatles and Liverpool. So I just
why?
Yeah.
He's making that up.
I'm not.
I
wasn't really into football.
Disregard half of
I
what.
wasn't really into football. I played.
I thought it was because he was a Cilla Black fan.
That was me.
Of course, yeah. that was Granny. I who have nothing.
Sideburns there.
So none of it. So what about Hartlepool though?
Yes.
Wilco, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Did they survive?
No.
Are they going
And
now?
the team's up for sale, Brian, if you're interested.
If you guys want a good football team like Wrexham,
Wrexham got promoted, and they're playing in this town on Saturday.
They are playing in Torquay.
Torquay.
Right, so Ryan Reynolds might be there.
Yeah.
They might be.
It's the end of the season game, and they just won the champion. They're champions.
Wow. Are they going up to the Premier or?
No. There's still another three leagues.
League 2
before Premier. They're going to League 2.
It's great for them though. They have really come a long way with this publicity and with the American support as well, which is great.
Yeah.
Cool.
A little town in. Is it in Wales or is it in England?
Yeah, it's Welsh Wales.
Welsh Wales, Wrexham, North Wales, isn't it? North Wales. Yeah. Good for Ryan Reynolds, and it's been a lot of fun watching that.
He's enjoying it. He's loving it.
Yeah, and because there's no baggage with a team like that, not like supporting, say, Liverpool v Everton or Man City v Man United.
There's 2 stars there, that
Real
Although
football.
he's apparently he's met up with Bale.
Yeah.
You know,
Gareth Bale from
Gareth
Wales.
Bale.
Like it's a Christian Bale.
Bale, that was,
Yeah,
that's what
not
he
Christian. Yeah, no.
Gareth.
Gareth Bale. And he's
Yeah.
just been playing out in LA, and he used to play
Right.
for Barcelona or Real Madrid, one of those.
Real Madrid,
A
yeah.
big superstar of football, won everything, and he's just retired. But they're trying to get him to come back and play for Wrexham now.
That'd be
Oh
fun.
wow,
Yeah.
that'd be good. Yeah.
I think he'll do it. I really do. I think he'll do it. It's a great thing.
Now,
If it-
also for some other new information, which I don't know if you know, the Average White Band wrote the theme song for Cosmos in 1975.
Okay.
Cosmos.
Oh,
Yeah.
the New York Cosmos. Yeah.
New York
Pele,
Cosmos.
New York, Beckenbauer.
So we
Pele.
used to go drinking with Pele and Beckenbauer and all.
Was that LA or New York? Sorry.
New York.
New York? New
New
York.
York, right?
York.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Atlantic Records
Records.
were the money behind that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you guys got to hang out with Pele?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did.
Christ.
About 3 or
What a
4
Not
legend.
me. Not me.
Now you might remember this, but I remember distinctly you were older, but a little older, but I was allowed to
Wait,
stay up late.
Hey, don't embarrass us.
I was allowed to stay up late to watch the 1970 World Cup final, Brazil, Italy. That was the first time I'd been allowed to stay up that I could
Before
recall.
my time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, after a certain, well, of course, I know. Actually, I was just thinking before we started that it's like looking at a reunion of the Manhattan transfer here. Who's the ladies and who's the guys?
There's a little transgendering going on here.
But yeah, I got to stay up late to watch that game. Still one of the greatest soccer games in history, in my opinion. That fourth, I think.
I did some shows with Manhattan Transfer.
Yeah, I know you mentioned that once. Yeah, and they were quite a neat vocal act. Yeah,
Yeah, they were really good.
Chanson d'amour.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
That.
So, Pele, that's incredible. I mean, it's not just the fact you guys got to meet all these great rock stars and whatever, but you met people like Pele and all these other guys,
Muhammad Ali.
footballers.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, you met Ali.
I mean, we met him in New York. He used to be in the Mayflower Hotel.
Yeah, incredible.
Everything was crossing paths in those days. Everything was, that was the incredible part of it. Everything was mixing.
Yeah. Oh, it's a hell of an era. Do you think that things are entirely different now? Like from the rock, is rock still and the rock touring still a thing, or is it just
only
like is it like a fringe now, or is it still
It's more of a niche genre, isn't it? I mean, not everybody likes rock like they did in the 70s. Not everybody likes disco like they did in the 70s, and I didn't like it then. But and not everybody liked punk, but punk will be coming around as being like
and I think
things come around. All of a sudden they realize that the rock is valuable, and I think it's very healthy in Germany and Europe, definitely. We did a couple of gigs with Manfred Mann recently. You never see him in the UK, but he's brilliant. He's got a great band.
One of the first bands I ever saw live, Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Great band.
I think back in the day when we were young, fans, it was real fans that came to gigs. You went to see a gig because you were a real fan of them. And I think now you go to gigs because it's an event. It's become an event. Half of them don't know who they're going to see. It's just, that's the latest event. Let's go and see them.
Yeah, like the Stones are a big example of that for me. The Rolling Stones. People don't go to see the Rolling Stones anymore. They go because it's an event.
Yeah.
And they want to stand on a beach with a million other people. No, thank you. But
I don't mind in Brazil.
Yeah,
in Brazil it's okay.
I wouldn't do it here
in Turkey.
So, Pope, you're a big, current metal scene guy. I mean, that touring scene is still pretty strong, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. In the US, they tend to be a lot of smaller venues, but they're around all the time. In Europe, they're still playing, like, you have tours like Bloodstock and Wacken, where they'll play to like 80, 90,000 people.
Yeah, Germany.
Hellfest.
Hellfest is absolutely glorious.
Yeah. So I wanted to, no, that's all right. I wanted to just point out that Mark you three guys are all from Hartlepool, but Mark isn't. So how
Mhm.
did you guys meet? Was it just down in London at gigs, or
Just pure bad luck.
pure bad luck? Like you were cursed.
We met in London when Mark was with Wishbone Ash, and we would all gig on each other's gigs. But I think we met when we did a gig at Exeter University, Mel, one of our first long distance gigs, and I'm pretty sure we did a
That
gig.
wasn't with Zeppelin, though, was it?
No.
Extra University.
Exeter
We did
University.
Exeter University, but we did another gig at a place in Torquay, and I thought we met you there.
Well, that might be possible. I remember that, Wishbone were at a record launch. I think it was the first or second album, Pilgrimage, or the first one. And Vinegar Joe was playing
I'm talking
in the club.
I'm talking 1969 when we first came to London.
Remember, yeah, but
Yeah.
not aware of it. You might.
I'm the train spotter. I remember.
Yeah, but you don't remember.
I
You
met him
might
in
have.
1972 in Ali Pali, Alexander Palace.
Again, I was mixing
He
for
was mixing for
Wishbone.
Wishbone
Yeah,
Ash.
I remember
Yeah.
Ricky Parr PA, big
Yeah.
PA systems.
That's
Turbo
train spotting.
system.
He remembers the name of the PA system. That's like
Well,
train
yeah, but
spotting.
I'm more of a PA spotter than
Well,
a
that's
train
It's the
spotter.
same as train spotting. I remember the type of locomotive.
Yeah.
Not-
Well, PAs were been 70 by 72. Everyone would start to have their own PAs, and they would have get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that.
Well, we
earlier.
were using on tours in Britain. We were using like N-Tech and Ricky Farr's systems, which were all hired in big bass bin systems.
Yeah.
We were doing theatres, doing 3,000 seat theatres. Before that, we were carrying our own WEM columns. And when in the early days of the, when the album was maybe first out or before coming out, and John Peel had a gig at a club, and he got Wishbone in there, and he was pushing it on the radio. And I think that he was so instrumental for them breaking through in the UK to get them a deal. They're not so well known in the States these days, I guess. I don't know, but
They just sort of
They're Wishbone Ash. No, they're probably a bit of a niche thing.
yeah, I mean they were doing really great gigs in the States back in the 70s. We were doing
they just
8,000
They were on
gigs.
all the major TV shows. So John Peel's an interesting guy though, because there
Absolutely.
were so few good radio personalities in Britain then that
you can use the word.
Yeah.
he was a guy that really did break a lot of bands.
John Peel.
So I mean, you guys must have worked with him and one or two, like Bob Harris and guys that really did.
Whisper and Bob.
Well, that's right. Well, yeah, that's the old grey whistle test. We've all been involved in that. With what you guys were there with the white band, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wishbone did that.
And
and-
Vinegar Joe, yeah.
And I remember doing a thing with John Peel at the Radio City Hall, right in the centre of London, and it was with
Oh, it was downstairs.
It
in
was
the
face-
BBC
with the face- with the
studios,
face-
the basement studios.
yeah BBC
just-
Radio Studios.
Yeah, off Piccadilly, just off Piccadilly.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
with the faces.
Yeah.
Rod Stewart and the Faces, yeah.
Yeah, and it was they were so brilliant. They're just so relaxed. They're kicking the bloody soccer ball about on stage and that, and
Mm.
they just get up there and chunked away, and it was just awesome.
That's when Rod Stewart was good.
Yeah.
Well,
Back then,
The band- the band
my
was
wife
great.
actually worked for the Rod Stewart and the Faces back then.
Oh yeah.
She can tell you stories. You need to get
Oh,
her
I
on.
bet.
She'll tell you stories of, Ronnie Wood. You know.
Well, Ronnie Lane is one of my favorite artists of all time. Sad loss. I mean, I love Ronnie Lane.
Yeah.
Ooh La La is one of my favorite records of all time.
It's funny. I just listened to a track this afternoon before I came on with you guys. I just listened to a Ronnie Lane track, April Fool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, lovely, lovely guy, beautiful guy.
Yeah.
And Ooh La La, it's still a very
Yeah.
emotional song that when you hear it, especially
Yeah.
as he died so young,
Yeah.
I mean, they did that big concert after Ronnie Lane died, the charity concert for.
Yeah.
Were any of you guys involved with that one?
No, unfortunately, no.
No, that was
The
all.
only
Eric.
thing Mal hasn't been involved in.
That's right.
Hey, Brian,
Yes.
we have
Martin.
a super chat with a question for the panel.
All right. So our great friend, my great buddy from Ottawa, Christian Delorme, has super chatted us $5 Canadian. Thank you, sir. Did you guys ever work for Canadian bands?
I didn't.
No, we had what's that three-piece band from Canada?
Rush.
Rush.
Rush, yeah, we done
Yeah.
shows. We done, shows together, never directly worked for Canadian bands, but we certainly worked with Rush. I think we've done some gigs with Bachman Turner Overdrive as well. They're Canadian.
Yeah, I'm going really back. First one I can remember is Canned Heat. Canadian band,
They're
yeah.
not Canadian.
They're not Canadian.
Are you sure?
Don't know if they were Canadian.
On the road again?
Go on, Lee.
Bob Height? Was
Well,
that
we know
Bob
who
Height?
they
Don't know what he was smoking back then.
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
There might have been Canadians in the band. I don't know, because the only one I know is the singer.
Canadian band. Anyone can react to that? Let us know for sure when we hear that.
Indeed,
They're
Christian.
American.
And I've still got the Burton Cummins album
All right.
from back then.
We just
in
had
vinyl.
I feel sorry for you. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Stand corrected.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm trying to think of other early. I mean, obviously the Guess Who and Bachman Turner Overdrive and
Yes,
Neil
Who.
Young.
I think I did something when they were renamed Bachman Turner Overweight.
Overweight.
If I remember correctly.
I think I might have been thinking of
That
Get
was the
To
big
anyway.
joke, wasn't it? He's the comedian.
That's a good one.
That
So
was-
how about, but what about the band, Robbie Robertson and
Oh,
the band? Because they were all, apart from Lee Von Helm, they were all Canadian. Did you ever work
Yeah,
with
they
those
were.
guys?
Yeah.
Great band.
Never worked with them. Loved them.
Yeah.
And I've still got that double album, The Last Waltz. I've still
Mhm.
got that on
That was
vinyl as
Engelbert
well.
Humperdinck, wasn't it? The last waltz.
Oh.
Oh.
You know, it's
The
funny
Big
you should-
Pink. I remember the
West
Big
Ridge.
Pink from the
It's
band.
funny, Granny, that you should mention that, because I've always hated Engelbert Humperdinck purely because he kept Strawberry Fields Forever from #1 in the UK
Exactly.
with
That's holding a
whatever
grudge.
whatever crappy song it was that he had out at the time.
But
First
nowadays-
Beatles.
The Last Waltz.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
that would be called diversity, man.
No, it'd be a
But-
different chart for it.
The
Yeah.
greatest double A side piece of plastic in history, in my opinion. Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, and,
Penny Lane,
and
yeah.
Engelbert Humperdinck keeps it from #1.
But didn't Jim Reeves with Distant Drums knock
Oh,
some other
Jesus
Beatles thing off the
Christ.
charts?
He probably did, but I quite like Jim Reeves. I mean, my dad was a big fan, so you know.
This is
Sentimental-
pre-Roadie times.
Sentimental
It's
value.
that Scottish softy, you know.
I can still sing all those Jim Reeves songs because
Oh,
I
no, please don't.
No,
Please
no.
don't.
Can we take a break, please?
Does anybody else I bet nobody else in this panel remembers Jim Reeves.
Yeah. Distant Drums.
I hear the sound.
Oh,
of
no, he's
distant
gone into it.
drum.
See, what have I started here?
But he was like really early country, smooth country crooner. RCA Records, I think he was on
Yeah,
RCA.
he
but,
was big.
yeah.
Big act. He was
But
big.
my dad loved him.
In on a second. Who's the metal guy there? Who's the metal man? Well, you can see him.
Right, hang on.
Happy over here.
Is this a gig? Oh,
A gig for
Let's see who we got here.
Hammer.
Sorcerer.
Hammer of Doom.
Yeah.
Okay. I've specifically heard of most of these guys, but it seems like an interesting
Hold
bill.
Still, Mark.
Well,
Yeah.
try holding it still.
Is that a festival?
Had
If
that
you
last
notice, they
Looks
put
like it.
Martin Turner on a
Oh,
metal festival in
Okay.
November.
I would have thought. Yeah, some of those acts will probably be a lot heavier than Martin Turner.
You can sit
Oh,
down.
yeah.
now.
You can come and hear the band, so
You can
Yeah,
just
at festivals you get everybody from the more poppy guys to all the way to the black metal scene. Sometimes they show up.
don't tell people the second time.
Hey, there's a show going on here.
Okay, lively.
It's not that the Wishbone Ash and are not. They can rock hard. I mean, there's
They
some
can,
loud stuff. They just were never metal per se.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
No. The more progressive, heavy,
But I
progressive hard rock.
I think the promoter wants to put a bit of variety in it, so it's a metal, festival. But
Yeah, most fans that go to these are pretty. I mean, I like to see lots of different stuff at things like that. So, but do you guys ever? I mean, Mark, you're still working, but do you go to gigs for pleasure?
no.
Nah.
No.
Nah.
I
I
haven't
haven't been to a gig in 20 years.
If they came to my house, I'd watch them.
Yeah. And what's the gig?
Yeah.
That's reminds me of Gene Hackman. When they,
Husband's holiday. You
Yeah.
know.
What's the gig?
yeah, you've seen thousands and thousands of
Literally.
gigs. I guess.
For me, I would love to go to shows, but I've always hated being backstage unless I was actually involved. You feel like
Working, yeah.
you feel like a bacon sandwich in a synagogue.
All right, okay. Do you actually stand there going, "That guy's not done that right"? That guy's not done that right.
Oh yeah, look at the way he's taped that mic card on. God,
Yeah,
his standards are slipping.
Beware, technology-wise, for myself, speaking for myself, it'd be way over my head now. You know,
Right.
The last
I wouldn't
live-
know how to set up equipment anymore.
The
I would
last
not
live
know.
show I saw, I got a free ticket to go to the Kodak Theater in Hollywood, and it was Mark Knopfler's band, and they were brilliant. It was a pleasure to go to, but I didn't have to drive there. I could actually take the train. But like the driving in LA, it puts you off doing anything. But that was a quality gig. Mark Knopfler's band was brilliant.
Yeah, I remember
About 5 years ago.
seeing. I had the first Dire Straits album before it was a hit because it was out for about 9 months before Sultans of Swing became a hit, and I was going around raving about this band at high school, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I don't care, who cares?" And then they became a hit, and it was like, "Oh no, we always liked them," you know.
Yeah, we did the Pink Pop Festival with the Average White Band in the 80s, and Dire Straits were on the same bill.
Mm.
And I think we were going on before them for some travel reason, and I think they didn't want to follow because Steve Ferroni was a killer drummer, and they were like about to burst down the scene, but they were very nervous about going on. What am I doing, man? Am I blocking your microphone?
No, you fucking can hit
I'm
me.
wearing my-
Granny,
I'm an Italian, you know.
Granny, just move. Keep your hand permanently up. No,
That's right,
right.
Keep
that-
going
that-
so you can see him.
Just keep going. No, we can still see Mal. We can still see him. Keep your
Hey.
hand moving. No, I'm just kidding, Mal.
Italian. Forget about
Where's
that.
the
No, that first Dire Straits record was just an absolute monstrosity. And Mark, I actually saw an interview with him a couple of years back, and this dude has to be one of the most naturally talented guitar players I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because the guy's just sitting there in a conversation, just picking up different guitars, playing some pretty complicated stuff, then just picking up stuff in different tuning and all this other crap. And it's just like, how are you this good?
He's the finger picking
Yeah.
style. Oh, he's incredible. I love
Yeah.
Telegraph Road is such a great record, 15-minute long thing that he does. It's so very emotional music he does.
Yeah, I met Mark Knopfler once. I actually promoted a show in Torbay here with the Notting Hillbillies, which was Mark Knopfler and a few other guys. Really nice laid back stuff. Anyway,
Is Nick Lowe part of that? Or is it Nick?
not Nick.
No.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
That was there was because there was another.
Ed
Notting
Bicknell was on
Hillbillies.
drums.
Yeah, back in the 70s, there was a Notting Hillbillies, but that was a guy from the Kinks. I think a couple of the
Oh,
guys
right.
from the Kinks,
Oh, right.
and somebody else. Nick
Anyway,
Lowe
the thing
from
that
the
struck me most about him was chatting afterwards. He had such a young face. He looks like Mark Knopfler. You think of like big nose and sort of like going for it and headband and all that. But he had such a nice face in natural
Yeah.
view.
Yeah, it's okay to show out we've all got feelings for other people, Mark.
It's not a feeling.
That's right.
It's
Well, I
not
believe
a beauty, whether it be male or female.
He
I
was
think.
such a lovely chap. I
He
like
was
his
in touch-
trousers.
He was in touch with his.
It's such
and
tight
I
trousers.
believe
Fuck all to do with that. What are you talking about?
and I believe some of you guys were pretty close last night, sleeping in the same.
Oh, very.
Yeah,
very,
very,
yeah.
Just like
Mark-
the old days.
Yeah, Mark Knopfler is a northeast guy from the northeast, of course. Like
Newcastle.
Newcastle's not that far from Hartlepool, so he's
32
Yeah.
miles.
Yeah.
it's kind of a hotbed of music when you look at it back to the Animals days, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah, that whole area,
Coverdale,
David Coverdale, Mickey
Mhm.
Moody,
Mick Moody,
Chris Rea, they were
Yeah,
from
Chris Rea.
Middlesbrough. That's
Paul Rogers.
Paul Rogers from.
well, yeah, it's funny because I was looking up that stuff, and so you mentioned Chris Rea. Let me just add this to the stream. So we've got
Brian Ferry from the Newcastle area.
Who's that?
Chris Rea. That's Chris Rea,
Chris
who
Rea.
actually grew.
Yeah.
Chris Rea grew up in Hartlepool, even though he was born in Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he grew up in Hartlepool. He lived there as a kid for many years. Oh, good morning, Courtney, our great friend Courtney, and yes, Nick Lowe. I adore Nick Lowe. But
Iron Maiden. What's that guitarist's name? The Polish.
Yannick.
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 He's from
Oh,
Hartlepool.
What's that? Sorry.
it
Oh yeah, Paul Rogers. Of course, you mentioned.
Yeah.
And this guy, he grew up in Hartlepool too.
He did not.
He did.
You wouldn't get away with that haircut.
I
there.
toured with him. He never mentioned it.
Yeah, he apparently, according to the interwebs, he grew up
Right.
in Hartlepool.
I can't believe it.
He would have got.
He would have lasted 5 minutes with that haircut.
That's why he moved to Birmingham, looking like that.
Yeah.
We'll
I mean,
talk
I would
about.
have run him down the street looking like that.
Yeah, it's Dave Hill of Slade, in case anybody doesn't know. Sorry, what is this one?
That's a Deltic.
Yeah,
That's it. I'll tell you where it is. It's in Princess Street Gardens.
That was my follow-up question for you. Do you know where it is? Because it's my hometown, Edinburgh.
Nobody likes the smart ass.
And there's a link to this because Chris Rea did an album called Deltics. So
Deltics. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I
see?
got one.
You show them, Brian. I've had this all my life.
I see you should not have been allowed to answer that one, Granny. They should have been made to
I
answer.
know, I should have.
this
We
is
wouldn't
like
have known it.
No, it looks like a piece of tin.
I should have left it to the panel.
This one's for Wilco. Wilco, or if anyone on the four of you can say what this bird is.
No.
It's a pelican.
That's a good shot
It's a
from me,
pelican,
isn't it?
yeah.
That's a Wilco shot.
Yeah.
I took
Yeah.
that last week.
It's a pelican, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did say
How was
that.
that one?
No relevance.
That's a
Blue
Stella
jay.
J, a Stella's J.
Yeah.
Granny, you're totally right.
I know it is.
Yeah. And then this is Granny's breakfast.
Oh, that's a lovely. Yeah, that was.
That looks amazing.
Is that the day you arrived?
That was in Suffolk. I
Oh.
remember when I first got here, I wanted a big English breakfast. The thing was, though, being England, it was served on an ice cold plate. And when I said the food was wonderful, but the plate was cold, she says, "Yeah, we get told that a lot.
I do something about it.
Why you fix it?
They don't fix it."
Hey,
Just-
so I have a question that's related to touring in the 70s and related to beer, because beer was obviously a major supplement
Right.
to your.
Drink it.
Name this beer.
Oh,
Oh, tenants.
Kick, well played, Wilco. Terence Lager.
I've checked them out.
Scottish. That's a Scottish lager.
Yeah.
Terence
Yeah,
Lager
Terence
used to have these cans with the girls on them. I don't think they can do that now.
Shocking.
I've actually,
Shocking exploitation.
I have actually done one of them.
Yeah,
Can't
I would
remember-
imagine you've met a few of them.
I've done the festival tea in the park.
Oh yeah, I've been at a few of those.
The Vegemite. Vegemite's Australian.
It is. It was HP sauce that was on the screen before the breakfast. But yeah, tea in the park. I've been to a bunch of those. What ones did you do? I mean,
I can't remember. I was drinking that Tenants. I can't remember anything about it. I just know it was there.
but those cans are now collector's items because they can't
they are.
Yeah.
they can't make them anymore because of sexism, misogyny.
Belong in the
whatever.
misogyny museum.
I once drank 4 pints of Tenants Extra. I woke up the next day, the blood vessels in one of my eyes had all burst because of the pressure.
Yeah.
You know, and I went to the doctor and he said, "Have you been drinking?" And I said, "I had 4 pints of Tenants Extra last night." He said, "That's what's caused it."
Yeah.
So,
So
The
Mal couldn't
evils.
have 3 that night.
so I only had 3 the next night.
So, what were some of the worst experiences any of you had with that kind of thing? That's one of them. I mean, in terms of having to get up and work the next day and then overdoing it.
Well, I think for me, a lot of times I wake up and just look around and go, where am I?
Yeah.
Often.
What city am I in?
Hmm.
Who's that next?
Continent am I in?
Who's that?
Who's that?
It's me. And where am I going today? And am I on tour? And I can be looking
Total
around.
blackouts, yeah.
And I used to just go back to sleep from there.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
wake
where
up
am
and go,
I?
Ah!
But I mean, you would have to get up and get going. And I
Yeah,
mean, we've all done it. I mean, in
You
our
just
order.
did it. Yeah.
No,
We've
I'm
all
not
done it
having
in
a
our-
good time, mate.
My first gig ever, my first ever gig. Mal took me down to join this band just to hang out, and we're sitting in this little dressing room, and they brought in a couple of boxes of potato chips, crisps, and some beer, and they said, "Help yourself, it's in our contract." I didn't believe them, but in the end, I was putting it away. I caused trouble the first night. They had to call security to get the band safely to the van. I was an instant convert, so I had started right into
Free
it.
beer.
That was my first ever gig. I had a drinking problem.
Yeah,
I got over it, man.
free beer is fatal. Free booze is fatal in any job.
Ah,
Yeah.
I used to work in the drinks
Oh, yeah.
industry.
Yeah, so-
When you're young and all that, you go dive straight into all that
We've
stuff.
all learned a better better side of life. Though.
Was there a lot of sponsorship of gigs in the early 70s by corporations like beer companies?
Linda
No.
Ronstadt, Tecate.
We
Right.
done.
And
I
after
done.
2 gigs, we're going, get rid of Tecate. But we could,
I done.
What's
gig.
Ducati?
Tecate's a Mexican
Tequila.
beer.
Oh, right.
Beer, rather.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ducati. Yeah.
I done a Genesis tour, and we were sponsored by Michelob.
But not the 70s.
Oh, in the 80s.
In the 80s, it started. I guess there wasn't so much.
Much of that around in the 70s sponsorship. Really.
It wasn't respectable enough, really. They kind of still saw it as a renegade thing.
Genesis and Pink Floyd. We had Miller Genuine Draft.
Yeah,
Not
but that
beer.
was because
Not beer.
And both of them are not beers.
No,
I think
no.
it's
They were very, very trendy at the time. And it was better than drinking bottles of Heineken, which I can't stand.
It is funny though that when you think of all these major league tours in the 70s by huge bands, that sponsorship wasn't there. Like there may be TV or radio interest, but there wouldn't be corporations getting involved. I guess even for major bands like Pink Floyd or Genesis or Led Zeppelin in the 70s, it wasn't.
No,
Very little.
No.
very little. And that didn't come in until the 80s. Page and Plant, we were sponsored by Miller Genuine Draft again.
Yeah, but I think also there was, there's a hint of like it not being cool to be sponsored by,
That too.
Back in the 70s, especially, there was a very original art form for rock music, and they didn't really want to be sort of like associated with toothpaste.
Yeah, you're
and
right,
shit,
actually. Yeah, they wanted to be the rebels. Their bands and
Yeah.
crew. Yeah, it would like.
But
being
by the
different.
time it got to the 80s, everyone's like, well, yeah, they're going to give us $1 million.
Give me
right?
the money. Yeah.
It was a million.
Well, I guess Neil Young did that famous song "This Note's for You," which was
Like Budweiser.
spoofing all that. This note's for you.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
for you, yeah.
That's better.
Yeah, and then of course he ends up getting sponsored by corporations later anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a railway buff. Did you know that, Brian?
Yeah, he's into
go
the
again.
toy trains. What's the name of the company? They make the little models. Lionel. He's a huge Lionel guy. Yeah.
Put these guys to sleep here, Brian.
My glass eye has gone to sleep.
There's a rock and roll element there. Keith, what's his name?
I guess you know.
Rod Stewart has a big set
Rod
of
Stewart's a big train buff.
model. Yeah.
I guess
Back
bands
and forth.
never toured on trains though. It was always limos, planes, and buses. No trains.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
If you think about it, a train would be nice for a band to take a tour and do a train every day.
We
We
did
all
an
did some.
occasion. I done a one in Germany with Genesis, and we had the Chancellor's train. Just
Wow.
to take us from Berlin down to Munich or something like that. So we just spent the day riding on this very plush train and eating lunch.
It used to belong to Goering.
I was going to say that it had
Bar
lots of
of
black and red regalia and
Armored train,
Yeah.
Just
Sorry.
painted
machine
over.
gun nests.
Yeah.
A lot of security.
As long as it's not going to Poland, you should be fine.
Oh,
We all did some training, but it wasn't like flexible enough. It was great on certain areas. And distances in the States, it wouldn't work. But in Europe, you could do it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if you had your own train instead of your own plane, it would actually be quite a cool way to travel as a band. And
Japan had it down.
Japan.
Japan,
Oh,
the
absolutely.
bullet trains, they were
Bullet trains.
perfect. They
Mm,
did very little flying. It's only when you went from island to island in Japan that you would actually fly. The rest of the time you were on the train,
Yeah, for those,
and it was perfect.
yeah, for people that don't know, touring in Japan is a whole other kettle of fish, and it's a really lovely experience.
Kettle of sushi.
A kettle of sushi. You get to a gig and they set your gear up. We always travel. We're coming from Australia with 4x12s and drum kits and all the lot. And get to the gig, set it up, and then they mark out the stage, every little thing. At the end of the gig,
They take photographs as well.
uh,
They'd always take photographs.
so at the end of the gig, they strike it. We all get on a bullet train the next day, go down to Osaka or something, and the gear's there on stage, set up.
Exactly as it should be.
as if by magic.
If you got
They
something
did.
wrong, it was wrong every night.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it was the first night.
Yeah, that's the way it was, and just amazing.
And
These
they're
guys.
just the ultimate in assisting you and making your tour effortless. And,
Yeah,
and,
plus you went on stage at 6 o'clock at night. You had the whole night free.
Yeah, the gig was over. You were out the doors by 9.
So that's more of a tradition there, like early evening and then no late gigs.
Well, especially in the big cities, which where all the venues are, like Tokyo and Osaka, Nagoya. They keep the people are at work. They live out in the burbs, right? So they keep them in the town so they don't have to travel out to come back in. They just start. They finish work at 5. They grab a bite to eat and they're in the gig. The gig finishes by 8:30, 9 o'clock, and they're on the way home.
Also, a lot of school kids, really school age kids, go to the gigs, and they're on a curfew as well. You know, they've got to be home by 9:30, whatever.
The unspoken thing about going to Japan is, of course, they got bombed, and I did a gig in Nagasaki.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it was a weird thing. You were walking around, everything had been rebuilt, of course, and you kind of you were conscious of it, you know.
It's funny. I was just reading last night. I read a lot of history, Asian history, and I was reading a section about Japan during that period last night. You mentioned that just about the impact of those 2 atomic bombs, and it's quite fascinating history they've got. But did they use Japanese road crews on these?
Yeah,
later on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I say, the guy, we virtually did nothing.
They're high tech, you know. They got all the latest mix. They developed most of the bloody mixers and stuff. You know.
But the first time we were there, they were very straight because it was definitely a backwater in a way. This next time you went, it was a bit more up. But the fourth time I went, all the road crews had tattoos, nose rings, Western style, all the bandanas. They really got into it. Mouth like concerned, I'm going to hit them in the face.
The sweet little audience, the young audience that we had, we were basically playing it to teenagers.
I'm Italian. Sorry.
So anyway,
Can I get a word in? Just, I'm just going to appreciate their little gifts that they used to give us all.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
everyone would know this. The little tiny little dolls or a sweet something, and all wrapped up with a nice little bow.
Tissue.
And they'd stand at the backstage door or wait at the hotel, and then they'd be like, you know, and that was the crew and everything. You know, they're just absolutely beautiful. You know, and they appreciate it just coming all the way from the west.
I kept some of the wrapping paper. They're like works of art.
Oh, yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah, absolutely, all handmade.
So, what bands in particular were you touring with in Japan then?
Well, first time I went there, I was with Mark, with Wishbone Ash.
Okay.
The first time I went there, which would be early mid-70s.
Yeah, about 75.
75, yeah.
Mr. Udo
promoter. Mr. Udo still,
He's still promoting.
We did it with the Average White Band, was it twice?
When we did it with the Average White Band, and I think we've had this discussion before, our production was zero. So Udo's people were like, is that it? And we were like, yeah, what do you want? You know. And the end of the stage was like, these little cabinets was like Spinal Tap, you know. So they went out and went, what do you promote and cut the cake? And we were like, well, what do you want us to do? You know, this is it. So the next gig, they'd actually went out and did a 50 by 50 backdrop of Cut the Cake.
Wow.
The next day.
Yeah. And it was like, we went to the next gig, we're like, wow. We take that, you know.
Hey, that backdrop must exist somewhere. They couldn't have got rid of it. Somebody's got that.
Probably been reused and painted over.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think
Was it the lady's bum?
Cake.
No,
cut the cake.
Cut the cake.
Cut the cake.
Cut the cake with a cut slice in it.
Yeah.
Were there Japanese bands supporting
No.
the band? You know, it was just one act, or
It was just one act. It was just
that was it.
An evening with.
An evening with.
right. You mentioned the sort of younger audience that would be at these gigs. I know we know the famous, one of my favorite albums, Cheap Trick at the Budokan, where you can barely hear the band because the screaming of the girls. Was it a bit like that?
No.
For the first time we went with Average White Band, it was like they weren't even doing anything. They were sitting like
They
this.
sit
like
there,
that.
they're very respectful. They listen to music.
And then the end of the
And
song,
then at the end of the song,
what they do?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop.
And that's it. I never make a sound in between, so I don't know what that one. Budokan, maybe it's a different audience there or
Well,
something.
the last time I went, there was a mosh pit. I mean, it really changed.
Oh, right, yeah. They are going back
I've
to
been
the
there
early.
since 95, and I was there with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. That was a bit louder and a bit raunchier.
Well, I think they've got a big music scene now. There's a lot of bands, Japanese bands. I'm into a few of them. Pope's got a
There's
few
probably a big
metal
metal
ones.
scene out there, I would think.
Pope's, he
Oh
knows
yeah,
that.
I mean they're huge into it. It's like, and their sound's really different than a lot of like the death or black metal stuff. There's a lot of more 80s style stuff that stuck around there. In fact, one of the biggest acts, Anthem, actually just released a new album. It's actually pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, so they've got a very strong scene now. Metal.
Yeah, but the teeny bop thing is now J-pop, right? And it's just like it's just like little boy bands.
Japan and Korea have a really strong pop music scene, but they're also
K-pop,
huge into the metal scene. Like it's like the 80s never ended.
Yeah,
Sounds
right.
great.
Yeah,
I should be living in Korea. I need to live in Korea. I love their movies. So.
Well, I was gonna say you already own half their movies and TV shows.
I do, yeah. But yeah, music-wise, I'm not so sure. I don't like K-pop much, so I'm glad they're into metal too. But so that was Japan. But you guys have toured everywhere in the world. What are the other countries that had major differences as an experience for you in touring in like South America or Europe, or where was like the hardest places to go?
Italy.
Yeah, Italy.
Italy,
Africa.
believe it or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's another level. But Italy, just anything in Italy, the attitude is like, yeah, we'll take care of it. Adomani. First thing you learn is, you'll do that tomorrow or later. Dopo. No. What's Italian for I want it now? It's like, everything was like, yeah, man.
It's fantastic socially.
Have a little more wine, some pizza, a little appetizer.
Siesta. Well, that's Spanish. But
It was great socially, but work-wise, it was hard work. They made it.
Well, we were booked into the shopping plaza.
No sense of urgency, no sense of it's okay. The show happened. It's okay. Yes, but we want to know. We need to do this now to make that show happen.
So, did it ever not happen as a result?
Well, no, but as I was just saying, we were booked into the shopping plaza and it got the stage there and everything. People all over the bloody place, and the 2 bits of wire hanging from the ceiling with your hot and your common power. There's your power supply. This is the early times going into Italy.
Jesus.
And it's like, fuck, God, it's crazy.
Well, the Roadie I work
trying to get anything done about it.
Yeah.
It's like what these guys say, you just ask people, and it's like, well, maybe the guy will come later.
Maybe he'll come. He'll come. I'll make a phone call.
I work with this band, and the senior roadie, he'd been there before. He carried a big copper rod. And I go, what are you doing with that, Roger? He goes, you can't rely on the bloody earth here, the ground. And he's hammering in his own copper rod, attached it to a drain pipe.
It's life or death. Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
But I heard that one.
But wasn't there a lot of rioting as well?
Oh,
yeah, we had
loads of times.
The first time we were there, we had tear gas.
Rome, Villa, with this beautiful setting in an 17th, 18th century palazzo, the beautiful landscape gardens, the Villa Doria Pamphili, the strange spotter remembers. We did this beautiful show. There was that Van de Graaff generator and some Italian bands. It was wonderful. The show ended, and all you could hear was this. You could hear the tanks coming, the water cannons.
They were literally armored water cannons,
and
they just turned them on just to clear this park, this plaza. we just.
I just wanted to thank the chat who are all. I know I can see you guys. I know you're talking about a lot of stuff and asking questions. Our great friend Courtney, who is a musician herself and has played in a number of bands. Did you any of you guys tour with punk bands? I know Wilco did Killing Joke and
well, I did Killing Joke and The Replacements.
Was that punk?
Didn't you do that band making
I don't
plans for Nigel?
I don't know. I did the Stranglers.
I saw you in New York.
So the Stranglers in the 70s?
No, in the 80s.
Curiosity Killed the Cat.
I'd already moved to the States by then.
Without what they call them.
I wouldn't say Curiosity Killed the Cat was a punk band, though.
No.
Molly Duncan was the sax player from the Average White Band in that band, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he went.
No,
that I didn't know. But yeah, the Stranglers, Killing Joke. I know Wilco, you'd mentioned when we spoke before. Replacements are kind of like an alternative band. I wouldn't call them punk, but they've got punkish attitude, I would think.
Oh, totally.
By then, we'd all kind of, three of us pretty much were based in the States, mid-70s. Now, I completely missed the punk scene. I had no contact with it at all.
Yeah, but thanks for answering that though. And Courtney, I know you're asking a lot of questions. I'm sorry, I'm not getting to them all. It's a little bit of variety though. But I guess you're more focused, you guys, on the classic rock. Over your careers, it was more classic rock, prog rock stuff.
But you kind of stick to the music you grow up with, don't you? Really, and I think that's the same with the fans. The
mix that we were mixing in. The social mix. We went from this band to that band because we were doing a similar circuit to them.
Yeah,
a lot of in the industry all know each other and stuff like that.
Wilco branched out. I mean, he's got stories about his ice capade shows, and
I know Nutcracker and
phone call.
Yeah,
it was the phone call. It was all word to mouth. I mean, I was with the Average White Band for like 8-9 years, and I'm sitting on my farm in Connecticut. I'm going, wow, I don't have a job. Ring, ring. Hey, we're going to the tour manager for the tour accountant, who's the Allman Brothers. That was in like a week. And I went, yeah, I'm available.
Yeah.
So that's how I got my shit. It was just
because that manager knew that manager or that guy knew that guy. So they'd ring you up or just recommend you. And that was it. Never actually done an interview for a job. Right. You just get a phone call and say, are you available? Yes, I am.
The tour accountant thing that you mentioned, Wilco, would that be something that would even happen today? Because they would be, you're going to be a CPA. You got to be a CPA.
No. I mean, tour accountant
depends on the level of the band. How much money. If you're talking stadium stuff, man, you've got to.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all done from head office, most of it, and advanced money shiftings. And
it's all online. By the end of the show, it's all online and sent to the accountants. It's already disseminated.
Where in the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of cash. A lot of cash.
So there still is cash on the level that we're kind of working at. It's still I picked up a lot of cash in Germany. Not saying how much, but
Any laying around the house?
No, I'm afraid not. No, I'm afraid not.
Yeah. Was it I mean, when you say cash, Mark, do you mean like box office takings cash?
Euros. We weren't doing huge gigs, 400 people sort of thing.
And merchandise. There
was a lot of cash going in the merchandise. So
that's where it all came from in the early days.
That's where the cash is. But even that's going over the card as well. Yeah.
So there wouldn't be so much merchandise in the good old days in the early 70s, or was it?
You get promotional. Very little. It'd be promotional.
All of these are promotional shirts.
Well, tell us about those shirts then. Just let us see a few of them. Just
from stage right there, we've got a Genesis from 1982.
Yeah.
And on the back of it, you can see we've got Old Roadies Never Die. They just all end up at the marquee
in Paynton.
And that's from September 1982.
Wow.
This Average White one is from a tour in 1976
in England.
Wow.
And on the end here, we've got Wishbone Ash, 1976, 1977.
Yeah. I'm disappointed that because we spoke yesterday that Mal's shorts are not up there right now.
There's too many screaming women showing up. We had to take them down.
And the reason I say that is because this famous picture, of course, where Mal and Granny are trying to outdo each other with the
shorts.
When you got it, you got it.
Yeah, that's right.
When you got it, flaunt it. It pays to advertise.
That's a great picture.
It is.
Well, the thing is, you can be sued for false advertising, though.
He's funny.
There's no such thing.
It's all real.
Is that all? I'm thinking of the Spinal Tap scene where he's trying to go through in the airport. He's trying to go through the metal detector, and it keeps going off because he's got the foil wrapped around the cucumber in his trousers.
In his trousers.
Derek Smalls.
Me and Mal didn't need that.
Clearly not. So merchandise was nothing in the early 70s, I guess. I mean, there was no such thing as a tour T-shirt until mid 70s.
It might get made just for the crew. The record company might make
venue only. I've got.
That's right. Yeah.
The ones I have left are all pure venue issue. For that performance that night. you know,
Yeah.
There would be a
or a number.
tour T-shirt for the crew and stuff like that.
Yeah, 2 T-shirt for the crew maybe, but the one-off issues, all the ones I've got,
and
are
some of
issues.
those.
like that September 27th of
God,
September 1982.
I like
That's a one-off.
Those
That
shorts, he
no.
wore them well.
those shorts.
I like Courtney's always putting comments up.
Courtney is wonderful. She's a wonderful,
I
wonderful.
met back then in those days. I met Connie from Little Rock. She thought they were cute as well.
I'll bet she
I
did.
would,
And,
I'd have to be censored on what she said.
yeah, she was looking for a little bit of Little Rock, I guess, or Little
Yeah,
Rock.
she was a big piece of rock.
Blackpool Rock.
Blackpool rock.
And was there? I bet there was a communication language issue though between Arkansas and Hartlepool.
Oh yeah.
No.
The language of love is universal.
Yeah. Amore.
Give me more.
When we first came over to the
Hey,
States,
Brian, we got a break.
Yeah, we're gonna go to break, so we'll see you all after the break. Don't go away.
It's amazing.
Why are you all looking at your watches?
love your accent. That's what they always used to say.
Hi guys, this is Gary from Pop Culture Minefield here on KGRA, and we're leaving for our first break. I hope we survive.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm gonna take it for the energy. I'm gonna take it for the play. I'm gonna take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a Feel the Difference money-back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Oh wow, we survived. Welcome back to the commercial break. Now for some more Pop Culture Minefield on KGRA.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Yes. See, who's the leader here? Who's organizing stuff? Come on, who's in charge?
Forget it. You put 4 tour managers in a room, nothing gets organized.
We need a tour manager.
It's organized chaos.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome back, everybody, to Morning Coffee with Brian. We're here with the magnificent rock and roll Rowdies and loving these stories. Thanks to everybody that's watching on YouTube and chatting. Thanks to everybody out there in KGRA Digital Broadcasting for being here. We're very appreciative of all you being here and listening. John's had to depart, our friend John, so hope you enjoy the rest of your day, John. So while you're there, they're back. You see, this is an age thing. We all need to know that you can't. Your bladder can only hold so much.
You gotta go potty.
I've been ordered to move down a bit because Mal thinks I'm
nervous.
Nah.
I'm a nervous.
If that break could have been a couple more minutes long.
That's right. Yeah, you guys have. You see, if you shuffle the order of your sitting, you're just going to confuse me. I'm getting old too, you know.
All right.
We're trying to.
Well, I'm still in the same place, I think.
Yeah, you're the only one.
Mark is the anchor.
I'm the anchor,
team,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Rhymes with.
What?
I'm the guy who tries to organize it.
So, Mark, are you the master?
Sorry.
You're the master debater, is what you're trying to say.
something like that.
Oh.
Now I've got his elbow. Now I've got to deal with his elbow. I can't work under these conditions.
That's right. Yeah, it's like, you know, you think bands are prima donnas.
I've got a question for these four.
Well,
All right, go
Dustin, will just give me 1 second. So thank you to our great friend, my brother in arms, Darius Munchausen, for a $3 super sticker. Appreciate that very much, mate. And I should have done this for Christian earlier. I'm going to play a clip to thank you.
Take him to Detroit.
No, not Detroit. No, please. Anything but that. No.
So thank you, Darius, who loves that clip. I know. Take him to Detroit. Yes, Dustin, my friend, go ahead.
So you guys are going to be going on tour, so to speak, and doing, you know, all these talks across England and Europe and all that stuff. Who's going to manage you for?
Do you want to do it?
Do you want to do it? You want a job?
The job's open.
Yeah, bring me over. I'll take care of it.
Come and take care of us.
We'll still have to be. We'll be fighting up to that until the day we leave.
I think we can manage that.
We can manage. You know, any technical side. Obviously,
we are looking for an agent. We are looking for an agent.
We'll point the finger at Mark for technical stuff, travel. Who knows?
Who's going to set up the backdrop?
Yeah.
I think these guys are fit young men. They'll leap to it.
I can't do it. I'm not allowed to lift anything heavy.
Me neither.
So I need trouble when I go to the toilet. You know.
Oh, yeah. I knew that was coming.
Oh no.
Yeah, enjoy
no prima donnas. No prima donnas in this band.
So tell us a little bit more about what it is you are planning as the Rock and Roll Rowdies. What do you hope to do and achieve, and what's in the future for you?
Right.
Don't know.
Silence.
Silence is golden.
As far as gigs are concerned, we do want to do some live performances, and it's been suggested by quite a lot of the venues that I've just been visiting around the UK, especially people that are really interested in classic rock era, and they want to hear the stories and the audiences. And I've got to use Wishbone, Martin Turner's Wishbone as an example. The audiences are all in the same age group, and they all love all the details.
They like that backstory.
And so several of the promoters in these venues have said, let's put together some dates. So that should be coming up early 2024. At least a few dates in the UK, and
see where it goes.
And do a few more broadcasts in the States.
We'll see. Yeah, something we've never done. Yeah. So we'll give it a shot. If it works, it'll be great.
I think it will work.
You know, we have fun doing it. You know, we have fun sitting here. Believe it or not, we do enjoy this, and
I tolerate it.
We tolerate him.
Courtney's volunteering to be.
The show will be similar to what we're talking about, either being interviewed by yourself. I believe you're going to come with us anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sincerely hoping to be there in the fall. If you're going to,
we'll have sections where, like we recently just reacted to Kashmir and some songs, that we're involved with.
Yeah.
But
with Peter Gabriel,
and we'll be doing projections of that stuff, and then reacting to the video. I was, when I was in, Live Aid and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've got to dig
highlights. Highlights. Obviously, for me, it was Live Aid. For Granny, it was probably doing the Rumble in the Jungle.
Oh yeah.
After Gnidrolog.
After Gnidrolog.
Once I came down from the Gnidrolog experience, and I was in Zaire,
Yeah, Courtney's volunteering to do the tour with you. She's
all right.
here and she's a certified nurse.
Get the crew together.
And apparently she's good at prostate milking. So
sign her up. Need help with mine.
Has he got a split van?
Yeah, you should just take the prostate out and just carry it around in a jar. It's a lot easier. So that sounds like a lot of logistics, though, having video clips to be displayed.
Oh, yeah. But we're actually been influenced by you, Brian, by the way you cleverly interweave song clippets or photographs and stuff like that into the show. We'll do the same thing in the live situation, like with larger projections.
It's all smoke and mirrors,
Chuck Berry, we're going to take everything you thought of and use it.
That's right. It's all smoke and mirrors. If you're looking for an MC,
I'll do a question and answer thing with the audience and stuff like that, which will be
I've seen a few of that kind of gigs in the past. I know that I went to one with Randy Bachman did it, and it was more he'd play a song, but then he'd have 2 or 3 minutes talking about stuff.
Yeah,
the audience really enjoys that. They really like that.
Francis Rossi from Status Quo. He's up and coming tour. He's doing exactly that. He's sitting on stage in an armchair. He playing his guitar. He'll do a song and he'll give the backstory to the song and he'll rapport with the
people want to hear that.
With us, it's with us, it's going to be more about the spirit of being on the road. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody how to record a record, but we just took it and ran with it and came from very humble beginnings and still are pretty down to earth. And I'll just have a peek behind the curtain sort of thing. And we'll have technical questions. We'll take a tea break and Mark can answer them.
I'm not really a technical man.
No, but you know a little bit more.
Yeah, it will be just tea at this stage, of course. Just tea.
Yeah, we were going to exercise total control. We would hate to embarrass ourselves.
We have a bit of brandy in the tea
early in the morning.
We just want to have fun, like Mal said. We want to have fun and share a bit of it because I do jobs in California. I work small-time things. I meet executives, high-powered executives, and when they hear my accent, they all want to know what brought you to America. Sex, drugs, and
plane.
And the next thing you know, we're talking. Everybody is interested.
It's good to document like the history of what happened there. What we were lucky enough to grow up and live through that period, which was a real
live through it.
Well, somehow we survived. We are survivors. And I look at turning 70 was an achievement as much as anything else.
But we weren't innovators, and we weren't the inventors of the stuff. But we were there when it was happening, and we all took the thing and developed it.
We hit the ground running.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that fascinates me. It's the you've literally gone from the transit van era up to major mega tours, right? You've seen the whole development of that, literally the development of rock as we know it today, and that's just incredible to think about that.
In fact, we just recorded that yesterday.
We've just
recorded all that from the transit to the tour buses to
private airplanes.
But we are going to need
jets for the luggage.
We are going to need someone to do subtitles because nobody will, when we're all talking at the same time.
Brian, he doesn't speak the language.
Well, I don't speak English. Neither do at least 3 of you. I mean, Mark probably does speak English quite well. The others are.
I was born here.
He's a hillbilly.
I only talk American.
American. Can you talk American as the
American? Well, I did live in the States for about 12 years, so I can.
And so does Wilco. And
he knows where the sidewalk is.
It is. But Dustin and Pope are from the US. You can understand these guys, okay, can't you?
As much as I understand.
Read this.
Yes.
Yeah. We understand you guys just fine. I mean, even like the stuff you say, like I knew when he said something about anchor and it rhymes with, I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw a word out. Actually, I'm going to throw a word out that we used before we started the show, Kazi. Who knows what the Kazi is?
I just went there.
He's just been there.
Oh, see if any of the people that are watching.
Anybody in the chat know what the Kazi is? We'll wait and see if they do, because it's a particular thing that people in Britain go to, the Kazi.
Yeah, I think it stems back to the occupation of India.
See that?
Yeah.
Smart aleck. Yeah,
well, there's a lot of terms come from that. There's a lot of terms.
Kazi I don't know what a Kazi is in India. Maybe it is a toilet, but the Kazi is a toilet. My old man.
Is it related to a dunny?
Yeah, a dunny.
It is, a dunny.
It's
a Kazi. Not a Casbah. It's much less glamorous than the Casbah, Courtney. Yeah. It's a toilet.
The Khyber Pass is another one as well. It rhymes with.
Please don't talk.
Yeah, it's the Khyber Pass.
I guess
that one I know for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Having been sent to Afghanistan.
Oh, really? Oh, right. So you know exactly where that is.
Mm-hmm. And some of the glorious creations that came out of it.
Yeah, Andy's got it. It's the shit house, the Kazi. But I mean, I've been in the military too, and so has Pope, and you pretty much you make your own kazi sometimes, depending on where you are. But,
the world is your kazi.
So I just
busy around here this morning.
but just getting down to those kind of that level of detail when you're, especially in the early 70s when it wasn't so big, well organized, there must have been a lot of times you were caught short in various ways and had to just,
Well, that came later in life.
Yeah. Like, just the basics of where we're going to eat, where we're going to go to the bathroom, where we're going to sleep must have been a bit of a nightmare.
How did you make a phone call? How did you get in touch?
Well, funny you should mention that, Brian. I was on a tour bus tour with the band Dred Zeppelin, and they were all costumes. So when the Elvis character was half into his outfit, we sometimes would just use the bus as a dressing room because he didn't want to be getting changed and moving around in the club. So one night he said, I really, really need a dump. So I said, well, you can't do it on the bus.
That was the rule.
And
That
he
was
couldn't.
rule number one on the bus.
Because it's like a
No
savings
dumping
account.
on the
You put
bus.
something in, you get interest. So the whole thing was, I said, well, you can't do it on the bus. And he said, I'm almost Elvis. I can't go in the club. So I said, here's what I'll do for you. I said, I put a plastic bag in the bowl on the bus, and he dropped a log in there, right?
Oh.
And I got rid of it. He didn't know. So I come to the side of the stage. I had a similar plastic bag with some sand and gravel in it, and I was swinging it like it looked like his bag of poop. And Julie's trying to sing, and I'm swinging this bag of poop. And I came and I hung it on a cymbal stand, and he's like, ugh. He didn't know it was just.
Was it a fairly lengthy and consistent one? Or
I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
that's a new one.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Cheers, Joe. Thanks for being here.
I did it all worked out. There's a bit of gravel.
You should have got him to sign the bag, and then you could have auctioned it off on eBay or something.
People are buy it. They're buying my underpants right now.
Well, Davina has got the academic thing. Kazi, supposedly African in origin and derived from the southern Bantu word for toilet, makazi.
Well, it could be East Africa's got a lot of Indian people. So
Right back down south there in the.
See, we're having a geography lesson now. See how intellectual this could be.
Culture.
See how intellectual this could be.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
I saw myself as a Vespa da Gama, Vespucci.
So you're like an Italian scooter.
That's what
you're saying. An Italian scooter.
We were explorers.
Vespa.
Yeah.
You're a Vespa. Is what
I'm a Vespa.
So, but you are you're erudite world travelers.
Some of us.
Yeah.
Yes. So, speaking of that, though,
erudite.
What would you say that you guys are all experienced veteran tour managers? What are the most important qualities that such a person needs to have?
Money.
Tough question.
Love of music.
Without money, you can do anything you like.
But to be a tour manager and balance all this stuff,
detail.
Or just a roadie,
Details.
You have to go by detail. 7 days a week on it.
You've got to be on it. You've got to be you not just
phone call.
The day. Wait, you've got to be ahead of yourself all the time.
Yeah,
you've got to be upfront, ahead of yourself. Advanced work,
planning,
lots planning. Yeah,
I do as much advanced work before a tour than what I do when I'm on the tour.
And you've got to be very versatile.
I want to go on the tour without having to do any more advanced work.
Boobs.
Boobs do get you further. If you had boobs, that would work too.
It only gets you that far, gals. It's only gets you that far. Then all of a sudden, it's like.
It looks like when you get to our age, we need the man's ear that they had on Seinfeld. The man's ear.
Definitely.
Right.
But yeah, so you're planning. I've been a project manager in previous careers, and it sounds like it's a lot of project management.
Yeah, it is. It is project management.
Yeah.
And versatility. Because the artist will sometimes, the talent will sometimes change their mind at the last minute. So you can't be rigid, too rigid.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, how do you balance that, the needs or expectations of the talent with what you got to do to keep this whole thing moving on the road?
Get an assistant.
Get an assistant.
You know, I like to do the advanced planning and stuff, so I don't have to do so much on the road.
Well,
But
exactly.
But you've got to be, you know, you've got to be alert enough to deal with anything that happens, whether flights get cancelled, whether, you know, all kinds of
anything can go wrong.
Anything can go wrong. Hotels can be misbooked, you know, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I was on tour with the Pretenders briefly. So and we were doing a show with the B-52s, and one of the parents died from the B-52s, unfortunately. So they cancelled the gig, and we landed. I was with Chrissy, and we landed in Chicago, and we went, right, now what do we do? We arrived there, no hotel, nothing. You know, the venue was 300 miles away. So we said, well, we'll have a couple of days in Chicago. So it was that quickly shuffle to find somewhere to stay. As it happened, there was some huge thing going on in Chicago at the time. And
hotels were
trying to find hotel rooms was crazy. Was a nightmare. We finished up spending a fortune on hotel rooms because there was such a demand at the time. It's a last minute thing, you know, but that's what you got to do.
And it was all on the phone then. I mean, it was just phone calls.
No mobile.
Just landline phone,
landline phones.
And then initially, the most you had was like a telex. You'd go to the agency and send a telex.
We used to have more travel agents in those days.
And then, obviously, with faxes, you could fax them, so you got your.
I remember when email came out; it was staggering.
Yeah.
You didn't have to know where anybody was to get them a message. I mean,
it's big difference.
I've still, being the collector I am, I've still got my original Radio Shack little laptop. You could do 2 lines of text, and you had to plug your phone into these acoustic couplers. I kept them. I hung on to them just for fun. I have a little museum at home, and you'd have to do dial-up.
Yeah,
but you could. Everybody used it for sending naughty jokes more than production. You know what I mean? Now,
well, it's like they say that the rule, whatever the rule is, that anything that can be invented is immediately used for porn or
cat videos.
It's so. But I'm just thinking more of the the talent, who are, let's face it, are meant to be kept happy because they're the whole reason.
They get in the way. They get in the way.
Structure there as well. You know. Depending
be a lot easier without
the hierarchy of the band as well. If
that's
major talent says this is what's happening, that's what's happening.
The
others are going to bitch, but if the star says this is what's happening,
you had to know who that person was.
The legend,
like, intimately.
Because the band leader, really.
I had example was we were somewhere in Italy. And we were supposed to have a few days off in Milan. And the manager of the band, Pink Floyd, phoned me at 2 a.m. and said, Mel, we're going to Positano in the morning. Get the crew, the flight crew, because we were flying on a private airplane, get them up, get the plane ready. I want to leave at 9 o'clock in the morning. I said, did Dave and Nick know this? No, you better tell them. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to... Just do it, and you think, oh no.
When you say Dave and Nick, you're Dave
Gilbert and Nick Mason.
And so, but Steve was a very strong person, the manager of Pink Floyd, Steve O'Rourke, and so they just all went along with it,
So is that like him? Is he really telling the band what to do, or I mean, are they happy with it?
That's the manager.
Yeah,
you got your tour manager, and then you've got the manager. Which is above the band leader, really.
Business manager.
Convinced them, it's better to be in Positano, which is a beautiful place on the Amalfi Coast of Italy. Fantastic, but getting there is a nightmare. I said the pilot's not allowed. He's just left the bar at midnight. We practically have, because the pilots are not allowed to. He said,
dry him out.
I don't care. Get Nick to fly the plane.
Yeah, get another pilot.
It's dangerous enough going in a plane as a rock star without having a drunk pilot.
Oh, that's
right. You don't need to tempt fate. There's already enough danger.
I know enough deaths of rock stars on planes already. But so we talk about divas. I mean, I know you're not going to get into too much diva, but you must have experienced some diva behavior.
Yeah.
In your
almost every day.
Yeah. I don't mean amongst each other. I mean amongst the
Oh no,
that's all the time.
No, but you mean the sort of diva of the band sort of thing. You know?
Yeah.
What's
I mean,
diva for the male? What's the male equivalent?
Still a diva.
No,
Still a diva.
Is this still the same?
So I mean, some examples of that behavior. You don't have to name names, but
yeah, well, there's the classic dressing room thing. You know, why don't we get this stuff? I thought I asked for white wine, not red wine. I mean, you know, and sort of like, just sort of like, you know, they won't accept a slight variation to the meal or something like that. And get all stroppy about it. But I think the word diva is more to women, but
yeah.
But it's,
we know what you mean.
Yeah.
There's always one that would throw a straw.
I was just suggesting that it wasn't all women.
One guy, well, they were all a bit diva-ish.
That's what I'm saying.
They were all a bit diva-ish.
Get a bit stropped out over something small.
Usually about the rider then, or M&Ms or something, you know, brownie.
Yeah, I mean, there's
M&Ms.
all those jokes. Yeah, still goes on.
It still goes on. Yeah,
I know, Wilco. I don't want to put anybody on the spot to mention names, but you mentioned an act who wanted to build their own stage or something.
Oh no, Slipknot.
Slipknot, okay.
Yeah, absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
And you know, you give the guy, I think they were just saying, get away from what we're doing. So he went off and he built a full-on metal stage for Ozfest.
60 guys.
I know this story because I worked with No Name at the time, and I knew Adrian Valera, and they talked about that. And they're like, and I even knew their tour manager at the time. Like, well, the tour manager may be previous or whatever, but and they were talking about how they wanted to do that all metal, and they basically had to say, no, that's too heavy. We got to make it out of wood.
Yeah, no, they made it. I mean, I wasn't the tour manager. I was the freight guy.
Yeah.
But I knew them all, and I went and looked at this thing. I went, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it was starting off in Europe, just to get it there, and rent it in Europe because it's cheaper. The amount, no, we need this. But that tour they had like 6 extra trucks with nothing in it, just to make them look big.
Jesus.
That's not diva-ish.
You know, I mean,
I would never find that.
That's PR. That's just PR.
So was Sully their tour manager at that time?
Who?
Sully the Bull?
Or
do you know? Do you remember?
I can't even remember.
I just remembered something. I mean, it's not on the same scale as that, but I remember doing in the 80s, I'd get a phone call. Can you go to Hawaii tomorrow? Can you do this? I would get jobs like driving a truck across country. And I remember getting this phone call. It was some famous rock band, and I honestly can't remember them, but they were well known. And they had a load of fake 4x12s, cabinets that had to get to Florida. And I got paid about $3,000 to deliver a load of fake equipment, because that's what their stage set was, a couple of amps, but everything was this big wall of fake 4x12s.
Oh, yeah.
That's a normal occurrence, though.
Yeah, but I made about $3,000 for that.
So, yeah, fake backdrop with fake amps, but a tiny little speaker in one of them. Yeah, just.
No, but,
I mean, everybody from Pantera, everybody did that.
Yeah.
I mean,
the most undiva-ish person I ever met.
Just to finish off Slipknot,
Yeah.
the first 3 gigs they did just paid for the freight getting there. When it all finished, I sat in their office for 3 weeks. I arrive at 9 o'clock and go, get my comics out and get my papers, because they owed me money and I wouldn't leave.
Oh, excuse me.
And finally they were like, here, get the fuck out of the office. It was just crazy. They were mental. No thoughts of anything. Just we wanted.
Well, that's when you're talking about empty 4x12s and stuff like that, that's part of the stage show. So I mean, lots of bands provide stuff on stage show just to make it look good.
The mystique.
Yeah, I mean, but actually, I don't know whether I write off 3 extra semis. Just to carry in.
No, they're empty.
Just empty semis, just to think that the band is big. It's just ridiculous. I mean,
well, it was also their first big tour. I mean, humongous. The headline.
But it's counting the amount of semis,
Yeah. Well, they just wanted that Slipknot right across all the trucks and everything.
Well, I imagine there's a line there too, right? Like, there's like a line below which, like, as the tour manager, you just won't sign off on something like, oh yeah, we want 4 semis to make the tour look bigger. Like, no, I'm not paying for that. Go away.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the manager just overlooked everything.
It depends if it's a promotional thing. It's a different you got a different take on it. And if it's got Slipknot written all over it, it's a big advert going down the road, isn't it?
But you were the freight agent. You weren't actually.
I had nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Just going to ask Justin and Pope if you guys could just cover for me for 2 minutes. I got to take a quick break, so keep going, everybody. Don't.
He's got to go to the dunny.
I can see the future, and I can see a visit to the Kazi.
Oh, in London they call it the Bogle.
The Bogle, yes.
The Bogle.
So I do have to. I will be back. Continue.
Okay. So who's taking over?
So like you guys had to know like that line as dealing with these people, dealing with your the talent, if you will. You had to know when to hold your ground and when to let them get their way, right?
That's true. Yeah.
That's true. Well, that would happen before the tour.
Or you just, if they were totally crazy, you just say yes and then go out. Yes, I'll do that.
Agree.
And then just not do it.
So it's like dealing with toddlers.
We used to do that with our officers all the time. Like they would come in and say something absolutely idiotic and then walk away, and our sergeant would turn around and just be like, ignore everything he just said.
Yeah. That's it.
You got to use
and a lot of times these musicians would forget anyway. I mean, next day they're just looking at
it was just a pout they were having.
Yeah.
It's like,
because if something didn't go right for them that day, they would throw a wobble and then make silly demands, and you go, "Yeah, I'll get that sorted." And then the next day it was forgotten about anyway.
Yeah, I always found it hard to pander to everyone's, sort of whimsical sort of, I just like either not do it or argue about it and say, well, I'm not doing it. Do it yourself. If you want to, I'm not gonna wipe your ass. I'm not gonna carry toilet paper around with me and wipe the fucking guitarist's ass.
I had a famous guitar player. I won't name him, but he's very, very famous. Told me, yeah, Mel, go and get me some cocaine. And I said, nah. He said, go and get me some cocaine. I said, I'm not going to get you any cocaine. He said, that's your job to look after me. Go and get, I said, no, I'm not getting you any cocaine. You want some cocaine? Go get it yourself, And I didn't get him any cocaine. Whether he got it himself or not, I don't know. But he's.
I think you got to be like
he's a stand up god of a guitar player, shall I say?
Yeah. Otherwise, they won't be asking you for every fucking little.
He said that's that's what I pay you for. I said you don't pay me.
One guy that's always late.
There is a limit, There is a line where you accept the responsibility or whatever it is that they're requesting. Or if it's ridiculous, then
but there would be managers and people on the tour that would go. If the talent said, "Go and get me cocaine," they would run off.
The brown noses in the business.
Yeah, they probably want to go do it because they'd be like, "Well, I'm going to take a little off the top."
A little percentage.
Yeah, percentage. I remember the guy once was giving me some drugs for a musician and said. And he went, oh, don't give him that. I said, why? He said, he doesn't know what a gram of coke looks like. And he took half of it out. He said, give him that. He thinks that's what a gram looks like.
That'd be miserable these days. You never know what you're going to give your people if you're giving them that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, we had to do quality control. I got flown out from London out to Hilversum in Holland to the recording studios with the band, and I went and they said, "Oh, bring this guitar from my studio at home, bring it out to Hilversum." But what I'd gone out there for was to test the cocaine. I arrived and they had this pile in front of them, and they said, "Well, can you check that see if it's any good?" I said, okay, I'll take it to my room and I'll let you know in a little while.
In a laboratory.
These little test kits now. They've got test kits to check for fentanyl.
Yeah.
This was
use it if you need to.
when I was doing it when drugs were drugs, none of this chemicals.
Was that in your contract, Mal, that you had to do that though? That was actually written in your contract.
You thought, some jobs you've just got to bite the bullet, don't you? And go.
Well, versatility, as you said. So,
not all bands take drugs, by the way.
Just 99.5%.
Well, there's a lot that do. There's a lot of crews that do, but it's not the same as it was back in our day. I don't think. Well, not on my crew anyway.
Well, I think we've seen though the amount of effort it takes for what you guys did. That you could party a bit, but there's a point beyond which you just couldn't do it. I mean, it's physical, long days, long effort.
It's the same thing now. You finish the gig, get to bed, get up early-ish, travel the whole day, do the sound check, get a meal in, do the gig, back to the hotel. You can't keep boozing and snorting till 3 a.m. and be down for breakfast.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's there is a physical. It's a physically hard job.
Yeah, here's the way to do it. You just don't go to bed.
Well,
many times.
Back in the day, we probably never went to bed a lot.
Right.
But, these days, I'm afraid that's.
Well, given what you guys have said about the early days where they didn't even give you money for hotels, going to bed wasn't an option.
Slept in the truck.
Yeah.
Sitting up. At that age,
do it on the plane.
It's only looking back now we realize, we should have had a hotel then. It was just like we're driving to Stirling and back the next day. It was like we went all the way to Stirling with one thing.
Hey, well, at least you'd get to see William Wallace's statue, though, wouldn't you? So,
who booked that for?
That's what I mean.
So I just wanted to mention what Davina was saying here. So Kazi, a popular Scouse and Cockney phrase originating in the 19th century. Kazi is a corruption of the. Someone's just taken that away from me there.
Kaza.
Sorry. Somebody's taken away when
It's me. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Corruption of the Italian phrase casa, meaning house, immortalized by the Kazi of Calabar in Carry On Up the Khyber.
Educational program. We could probably get a grant from the government to do this show.
So Carry On Up the Khyber.
It comes from the Second World War time, or maybe even before that.
But in Newcastle, in England, they call the toilet the netty. You think, where does that come from? It's from the Roman occupation. They used to use they had cabinetti with the toilets, cabinetti, and it was still used the word netty.
Netty.
Wow.
You see, language over
this is the show where you learn some important things.
Never too old to learn.
Information you'll never use, but
see, this is what the BBC should be.
That's right.
Thank you. Promote that, man.
Yeah. So, but Davina mentions a famous British institution again that you guys and I all know about. Carry On movies. Carry On Up the Khyber being one of the.
You can probably watch one on English TV every day.
That's right. And Carry On Up the Khyber is one of the best ones. The Devils in Skirts.
Yeah. Oh, well, you would say that, wouldn't you, Brian? Right. Hey, why? Why'd you say that?
So if anyone watching has never seen a Carry On movie, it's a British institution. They made them for about 40 years, mainly with the same cast, with lots of guest stars here and there, but they were all just like spoofs of things like spy movies, Roman. Carry On Cleo.
Carry On
Roman
Cleo.
one.
Yeah.
Infamy. They've all got it. Infamy. So again, it's like status quo. Nobody in North America knows them, but it's a British institution.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just, we've got about 20 minutes left. Wilco, I know you did a lot of the tour accounting. How difficult was it to keep the finances running on a tour and keep that budget balanced with all the shit that's going on? Was that really tough to just keep it all on track, or was it all?
No. I mean, you're not doing tour management, so the whole concept is cash, obviously. So when I used to leave, there was no computers. None of that was involved back in the day. I used to have printouts of everything, what I was picking up in the box office, print out of payroll, per diem, hotels, and that's what I basically did. I was on top of all of that stuff. The band didn't check out. The tour manager would run out with the band, and Andrew had already checked them out, And the box office, the band would leave. I'd be in the box office for another 2 hours.
I hated doing that.
It was all money. And in those days, it was always like, well, why have you got 12 drum risers? I've only got one drummer, and all that shit would come in. And it's like, and they go, well, rehearsals. I'm like,
it's still the same drum riser.
It was like all this nonsense used to go on, and promotion. And, well, how much promotion money did you put into the show? All of this. Well, show me the backup. Well, I don't have it. Well, you better have it, because if you don't, I'm not going to pay you. And all these guys would put all kinds of shit in there,
But this is you. So that's probably a better scenario though, where you were having to pay them than you trying to get money out of them.
Oh no, I was trying to get money out of them, but I want to get as much money for the band. The promoters would play all these games, not so much now, but back in the 70s and 80s,
fattening up the expenses.
There was just
padding the expenses.
Well, I've heard a lot of horrendous tales from even major bands like Led Zeppelin and getting ripped off, and Pink Floyd got ripped off many times, and in the 70s, not in the 80s.
New York, Led Zeppelin lost the night's takings from Madison Square Garden. They've disappeared out of the safe.
Yeah, Jesus.
But
that sounds like a them problem.
I did
answer to that
with the Allman Brothers. I did, out of about all the shows I did, the 3 years I was with them, I did, I think, 4 ticket drops, and everybody hates that. And I just went, look, I'm not playing your effing game, so I'm leaving. I'll come back in 3 hours. I want all these tickets in 100 piles, and you got 20,000 sell out, right? And they go on, and the promoters go, no, we didn't sell out, and I'm like, let's count the tickets, And they just get big black bags where they put all the tickets in and just empty them, and all the staff, the young kids, were like, we want to go and see the gig. It's like, I want all these. I'll be back in 2 hours. I'm counting them in hundreds. That's how.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. So all that was totally backstage stuff. It was just the way to do it. And every night before I went to bed, I filled out everything. So when I started next day, it was all gross into the net, what was left.
Can I add a little character background to that description there? Because when we all first met Wilco, he was a window cleaner. And
not a window licker, a window cleaner.
And so when Wilco joined us, he was literally, we knew nothing. Wilco knew even less at the beginning. I'm not putting him down for it. So by the time we were gigging in 73, 74, Wilco was at a certain level, but and then he got the call to go to the Average White Band in the States, and I didn't see him for about 3 months. So I see Wilco in England, drunk, laying in the gutter, burbling and drooling. Right, the next time
much like today.
I was right alongside him. Yeah. But the next time I see Wilco is in New York City. He's been with the Average White Band about 4 months. I meet him, and I'm going. He had a haircut. He was wearing like Armani clothes. He had a Halliburton $350 briefcase. He sits down, pops it open, and he has all these manila folders. I thought, Wilco, I didn't even know you could write.
Have they got, what drugs are you taking from
Wilco landed in New York and talk about somebody finding his place. I was going like, and he was teaching me, as he said something to the band, oh, see you in the lobby at 2. I said, you told me. He goes, slap. You always tell them tour manager time. I'm like, you always tell them a different time. And I'm going, is this really you?
That's right. Yeah.
Odd person.
That's true.
It must have been powerful drugs he took to change to that. Yeah.
He found his place. Hartlepool was one place. London, he found his place in the States.
Learning on the job is the best way to learn. That's my experience in life.
You had to learn, run it.
Back to doing the accounting. My first gig was with the Allman Brothers, right? And it wasn't Madison Square. It was on the island, the big gig on the island.
Meadowlands.
Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah,
Nassau Coliseum.
So it was, I'd done about 5 gigs and I'd gotten through it, but this was like massive and it was sold out. And the accountant actually walked in with me, and he just looked around. He goes to the promoter, who was Ron Delsner. He goes, let's go and do the settlement now. I want to see the show. And I'm like, okay. This accountant just went, blah, 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 and you give me a check for $175,025. And Ron Delsner went, looked at me, and I went, I have no fucking clue what he's talking about. So he just gave him a check. And he goes, well, I'm going to watch the show. And Ron and I went, it's okay. We went through everything he said for 2.5 hours. And he was right on the button. We just went through it, just like, where did he get that from? And then,
But where did the cash go? So when you got the cash every night, what did you do with the cash?
In the pub.
There's a lot of hookers in New York. There's a lot of hookers in Times Square.
I was picking up. We weren't doing big venues. There were clubs, small theaters, and clubs, and I was picking up cash every night. And basically, I was running the tour off of this cash I was picking up every day. Paying for the truck drivers, paying for the bus.
Yeah, well, it's hand to mouth at that stage.
It was covering the bills. So there wasn't a vast amount of surplus cash. But every morning I'd get a phone call from London, the manager in London. Mel, did you pick up cash last night? Yeah. Send it to me.
Yeah.
No. What do you mean no? I said, no. I'm out here. I'm the tour manager. I need the money on the tour.
Yeah.
No. You've got to send it. Are you getting cash tonight? Yes. Well, send me that. No, I need every day. He called me every single day of that tour, asking me to send the cash back to England. Says, no, I ain't doing it. I've got per diems to pay. I've got trucks,
hotels,
rent.
I've
got the
pay for the hotel damage,
hotels.
Well, when I did the Meatloaf tour,
did I say that?
In 1980,
yes, you did.
I did the Meatloaf tour, and I was a tour manager. And the first week, I was sending the money back, and then all of a sudden, the band walked up and went, "We haven't been paid for a week." And I went, "Okay, good one, because if you haven't been paid, I haven't been paid." Yeah. So I called the wife, and she goes, "Not one check's coming." I went, "Okay." So it kept. After that, all the money was going in my pocket, and I was going, how much are you owed? How much are you owed? And I was doing all this stuff for the entire last part of the tour. Now you're looking at, I've got a plaque at home with, thanks Wilco for helping doing $1 million of the business. I think I did over 12 million in the box office and 20 odd million in merchandise. But this business manager, I won't mention his name, in New York, was going, "You'll never work in the business again, you mother effer." And I'm going, I'm on tour. Do you want the tour to finish? Yes. Then this cash from now on pays payroll. You don't have to do anything. They'll sign for it, the per diems, all the hotels, because if I keep sending you money, you're putting me into a jeopardy of not getting the tour from A to B. So that ain't going to happen, And this guy, I'm not mentioning his name, I went in and he wrote everything off. He's like, "You'll never work again." 2 days later, I walked back in. "What are you doing here?" "I work for a foreigner." "How you doing, mate?"
That's right.
You know what I mean?
He's back.
Yeah. Like, are we gonna do this dance again? But they always tried it on. It was just, they always wanted everything in the office, all the cash, all the checks, so they could control it.
Yeah, but you needed control too.
They want to take their commission out, don't
the
forget.
Commission,
that's what happened.
We were in Italy.
With
with Peter Gabriel. I wasn't the tour manager, but the promoter paid us in cash, right? Mm-hmm. So we got back to the hotel, and it was short. Right, that's it. So we counted it. It was still in lira. That was a lot of lira.
Yeah.
You ever tried counting $1 million anything?
Yeah. And so we called the promoter and said, "It's short." No, it's not. It's short. And we'll wait for you in the lobby. Bring the money over. Bring the money. And he walked in, and it was about 1 a.m. in this nice plush hotel. And he walked in with all this money, and he just threw it. There's your fucking money,
Wow. At least you got it, though.
Yeah, we got it, but that's it. You've got to be, you've got to keep an eye on the guys.
Were there? I mean, you mentioned the Led Zeppelin.
people will get greedy. You know?
Oh God, yeah. And I was going to say, you mentioned the Led Zeppelin Madison Square Garden thing. Were there some shady characters hanging around, perhaps with black violin cases and?
Yeah. You've seen the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Was there a lot of that?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people
That's
that
all I'm
were
gonna say, because they might come and get me.
Nothing.
Yeah, it must have been because when cash is around, there must have been a lot of. You know what? Where's our cut?
What's the guy said in the Godfather? We're just the buffers.
Yeah.
A lot of buffers.
The Allman Brothers, Steve Masowski, God bless you. He didn't tell me this, but I arrived with the band.
Is he on the roof?
And,
He's on the roof right now.
The sunlight.
And so I get to London, and there's one promoter for all throughout Europe. And what I didn't know there was $70,000 missing. He hadn't paid it. So he met me in London with a money belt with Dutch money, German money, Italian money, American money, and English money, all in pouches.
In a belt.
What am I supposed to fucking do with this? He goes, you wanted 75 grand? It's all yours.
Wear it.
And I did all through the entire effing tour.
Yeah. Because it must have been some pretty shady people hanging around these tours, I would have thought.
Yeah, it was
trying
me.
to get in.
Yeah,
it was you. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
you were the shadiest.
I'll be
out-shaded.
I'll be pulling out different money going, look, check this.
You out-shaded them.
Yeah.
Wilkes from Wagga.
Yeah, from Wagga.
Sure, you're the hard man.
Straight off the street.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Yeah, what's for the rest of you who are all well brought up boys? What was it like working with an urchin?
Not me. I was in the street just below East.
Oh, you're urchins.
You were next street over.
I'm the wuss. I'm the grammar school wuss.
Yeah,
you're the grammar school.
I'm
That's
big.
why you. That's
I'm
why
big and
you
loud.
Yeah, he's a big.
So we're almost out of time, but there's a couple more things I wanted to ask. You guys have worked with an awful lot of acts. Is there anybody you haven't worked with that you would have loved to have worked with?
I went the band called the Soft Machine. I loved the drummer Robert Wyatt, but they were very esoteric. But they had an electronic keyboard. So when I first came to London, I didn't have the confidence to even approach them. And I was like, they say, don't ever meet your heroes. But I got to know Robert Wyatt later on. But that was a band I would like to have done some work with them because I was really into their music.
I would love to have worked with Eric Clapton. You know, I met him several times, and I would have really.
It's kind of with the shoes here, boys.
Well, of course, he worked with Phil Collins. Phil Collins worked with him a lot.
Yeah. Well, 1976 when I flew home and I got a job with Van Morrison in 76, 77. I was working with Van, and we went to see Eric a couple of times. And I took my daughter. Eric was doing this Butland's holiday camp, you know, a strange venue,
strange brew.
And so I took my daughter along with me, who was about 6 years old, and it was happened to be my birthday. Maybe this is why I love Eric, you know. But I'd been to see him with Cream. I'd seen him several times. But I sat there and
T-shirt right there.
They played. They said, "Oh, you know, this one, Layla. We're going to play Layla. Is for Mal. It's his birthday today. He's sitting out there, you know." And my daughter was like, "Dad, that's you."
I thought it was called Layla. Yeah.
No.
She didn't say, "Oh my God, Dad, you're old."
Yeah. I didn't know you were that old. Yeah. So
yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
Years old, you know, and so Eric done, you know, so
that's nice. That's very nice.
Yeah.
So
it's a beautiful thing.
Were you his van driver?
Oh God.
Oh, you know, there's an album by the Beat Farmers called Van Gogh.
Oh,
which is quite a good pun. I think it's a picture of a transit van. So yeah, what about? I mean, I know that Will. I think Wilkie, you said you'd worked with Wings briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but has anyone worked with the Stone? Did you do any work with the Stones ever? Any of you guys?
No. Just drank with Mick a couple of times.
Lent them money.
Yeah,
lent them money.
Yeah.
I went and they had a place. Forgotten where it was. Somewhere in Wiltshire or somewhere like that. Startling Studios. Right. and I went and looked that over for Richard Branson because he was going to buy it to turn it into another Manor Studios. So never worked with the Stones.
Branson's a interesting guy.
I've done my first for Virgin Records. I worked with. I've done a tour of America with a band called Steve Illage.
Oh, Steve Hillage! I love Steve Hillage.
Yeah,
I've got tons of his albums.
An act for ELO, in about 1970. I don't know when it was.
Yeah.
I've got the T-shirt. I don't.
He does a great cover of "It's All Too Much" and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm a big Steve Hillage fan.
Guitar player, quite unique what he did. He was a different style. But I was tour manager on that. That was Virgin Records' first ever band.
You were the first one of us to get into like handling the artists directly. We were still Roadie, and then Wilco got into tour managing. You made the first moving forward.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, to have worked with a guy like Steve Hillage, I mean, not a lot of people even know who he is these days.
Right, exactly. I've got a credit on one of his albums.
Yeah.
On the album on the vinyl, and
it's interesting that Courtney mentioned punk, but Steve Hillage ended up doing a punk album. I think he worked with like Sham 69 or somebody. He did a punk album just to be different. He was trying to reinvent himself a little bit. But I'm a big fan of Steve Hillage, and Mike Oldfield is one of my favorite artists. We talk about Virgin Records. It's a guy I've always regretted never having seen live in any time.
Not many people have seen him live.
Yeah, Mike Oldfield's a genius in my opinion. Weird, but a genius. Yeah, well, exactly. I guess the two things go hand in hand. But
we did some gigs with Steve Hillage in Germany. On one of the German
I didn't work with them in Europe. I just done this American tour.
No, but he was on tour with us, and we were sharing a stage, and we had a big backdrop screen went between them, and I was just behind on the drum riser when he was on stage.
What kind of work, Mark?
Well, it's kind of personal. I was just getting to know someone.
Sex work is still work. Granny, sex work is still work.
Absolutely.
Someone's got to do it.
Keeping the economy moving along.
Yeah.
No, it's
okay. Knock over any symbols on the drum riser behind her.
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting we're probably got only 2 or 3 minutes to go, and we're going to wrap up. I'd like to thank everybody that's been here in the chat today and listening out. So on YouTube and Rumble, Facebook, and everyone that's out there in KGRA Digital Broadcasting, thank you for being here, and thanks to Pope and KGRA. Dustin for and Martin and John that have been on the panel. Chat has been fantastic. Courtney and Davina and others, really appreciate you.
Courtney's sitting on her hands.
Yeah. So what's in the
sitting on my hands for Courtney?
Yeah. I'm sitting on my hands because it's so bloody cold in this basement right now.
Oh, there too.
Yeah.
So Mark, what's in the heating on?
Oh, there's plenty of heating on.
Yeah, but I've got my sweatshirt on.
Well, as soon as we get off, we'll get back to fighting again. So,
I think celebrity Roadie deathmatch on screen would have been great. But
let me give you a quick rundown of scheduling.
Yes.
Mark and I are staying here for 2 weeks in Torquay, England.
We're still broadcasting.
For Saturday, these gentlemen are going to Kent. And then next week, Mr. Grange goes back to the States. So whatever you need from us, let us know.
Yeah, we're all connected.
Because we could connect. And then we also got to talk about doing the tremolos.
Yes, so Wilco, as you say, we were going to do a special on the band, the Tremolos, the band that Decca signed instead of the Beatles.
Yeah,
Ryan Poole and the Tremolos.
Yeah,
but I want to do a special on those guys and with you.
Well, there's only one left, Len. Yeah, he's just gone to hospital. So
so we'll connect up backstage. But in your immediate future, you guys are in the UK for a couple of weeks together, and you're going to be doing more recording for your channel.
Yeah. The 15th, we are going to Spain and Portugal.
Right. Okay. Well, we got a lot of bloody editing. I've got a lot of editing to do.
We're on the phone. We're on the phone.
And probably you do as well. But I want to say thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we love this.
Yeah.
My pleasure and honor, guys. And please, everybody, check out Rock and Roll Rowdies. We do have to wrap. Thank you, guys. Love you very much. See you all soon.
Cheers, guys.
Right, guys. Thanks, guys.